The winds are calling once again. Let's dive right into this continuous narrative and trace the musical journey that maps out Vaiana's next grand adventure. We're going to chart exactly where she's headed next, following the story from start to finish, based entirely on the texts that guide her path.
But before setting sail, we really have to look at the fascinating dilemma our hero is facing. When we catch up with Vaiana, she's returning triumphant under the morning sky, heading back to her island home. The voyage was a massive success, and she's fully reconnected her people with both the land and the sea. But that creates a really interesting tension. What do you actually do when you've achieved what you set out to do, and the world is finally at peace?
Well, returning home, she finds her island lush, thriving, and totally transformed. Life is literally back in the water. The people are weaving new kites for flying, they're building new homes, and the population is expanding so rapidly that they're having to pull the roofs higher. The ancestors would be absolutely thrilled because what was once lost has finally been found. Vaiana comes back to a Motunui that is stronger than ever.
Into the villagers, especially the kids, she is an absolute legend. They gather around just to hear tales of the greatest wayfinder of all time, marveling at how she saved their land, set them free, and is super besties with a demigod. Everyone believes in her. Her father, the chief, is incredibly proud. But bearing the title of a living legend who points the way to the future, that is a heavy, heavy mantle to carry.
That intense adoration creates this deep, tug-of-war internal struggle for her. She's torn between the safety of her anchors, staying home to hold a child's hand, and the overwhelming pull of her sails, which is the call of new, uncharted skies. Suddenly, new stars are calling her by name, and nothing feels the same. The winds have changed. On one hand, she wonders, if she goes beyond, will she lose herself? If she leaves, who's going to be there to guide the young ones? But on the other hand, the future of our people is still out there waiting to be found.
Ultimately, though, the call of destiny is just too strong to ignore. She realizes that she's meant for more. Even though it means sailing far away from shore, away from literally everything and everyone she's ever known, she makes a promise. She knows exactly who she is. She is Vaiana of the land and of the sea. She absolutely must go, trusting that she'll eventually find her way back to these sands again.
Okay, so an epic journey requires a crew, right? But as they set out, it becomes pretty obvious that her companions have wildly different and totally conflicting perspectives on the ocean. As the village blesses the canoe and gives them mana for a safe journey, Vaiana insists that everyone get on their feet to live their own story. But her crew isn't exactly this harmonious unit of seasoned sailors right out of the gate. They're immediately thrown into the unpredictable ebbing and flowing of the wild ocean, and their reactions couldn't be more different.
First up, we meet Lodo. She's this chaotic but honestly brilliant thinker who firmly believes that messing up drastically is just part of the process. What's so fascinating about Lodo is her unshakable optimism in the face of disaster. She's a designer and a liner, a genius tinkerer, and a self-proclaimed model canoe sinker. To her, perfection is a total myth. She actually relishes the crazy ride and firmly believes that doing it wrong just means you get to run another test.
In fact, Lodo's whole philosophy for scientific problem-solving boils down to just 3 inevitable stages: failing, then learning, and then death. It's a brutally honest, yet strangely cheerful way to view a highly dangerous mission across uncharted waters. She literally just embraces the mess. Then, completely on the flip side, you have Kele. His sheer panic provides this stark, hilarious counterpoint to Lodo's eccentric optimism. Kele is fully convinced they're going to end up in watery graves and complains that he is going insane on the sea. Literally all he wants in the entire world is just one single grain of sand and a tree. But despite Kele's panic and Lodo's chaos, Vaiana rallies them. They're in it together, man, manning the oars and soaring where no one has ever gone before.
So, deep in the gloom of these uncharted waters, the crew encounters something totally unexpected: a massive existential giant clam. This thing has been stuck fading and wading through its own fears for 1,000 years. It's incredibly old, completely lost to existence, and here's the catch. Rather than fighting them with physical force, it uses pure psychological manipulation.
Yeah, the clam preys directly on their fears. It actually urges them to abandon their mission and embrace this reckless, static freedom instead of pushing forward. It tells them to just give up on their destination because, hey, there's no map and no explanation to their equation anyway.
The clam tempts them to live dangerously on the edge, arguing that life is unfair, so why not just cut loose and break all the rules? It's a super seductive trap designed to keep them stuck, just like the clam itself.
Just when that doubt really starts creeping in, Maui steps up, and what he does is brilliant. He throws Vaiana's own past lessons right back at her. When she feels threatened by the waters and the sheer scale of what lies ahead, Maui reminds her of her legacy. He tells her she has greatness inside and just needs to believe. He explicitly points out that it's his turn to give the motivational speech, forcing her to finally practice the very bravery she once preached to him.
It's a beautiful, complete reversal of their dynamic. Now, Maui is the anchor for her confidence. He openly admits that because of her, he's a better version of himself. In the past, she was the one getting a demigod in distress out of mess after mess. But now, the roles are flipped. She's the one being put to the test. They have to break a curse and face a literal bullying storm god, who, as Maui hilariously points out, skips leg day for real.
This is honestly the ultimate hype moment. Maui tells her that he never gives her enough credit, but under pressure, she always measures up. Even though the odds couldn't possibly be worse, he's putting all his chips on her. She's one of the few humans he actually calls a bestie, and his absolute unwavering faith forces Vaiana to drop the fear, level up, and bring the reckoning to that storm god.
Empowered by her mismatched crew and her best friend, they push right through the storm to a triumphant horizon. They rise above the gloom, charting a course to find a brand new island everywhere they roam, while always keeping their own island in their minds so they know the way home. They're out there reading every sign, continuing the stories of their elders in a never-ending chain, and expanding their horizon infinitely.
As Vaiana unlocks her destiny, her story leaves us with a question that echoes far beyond the horizon. When the winds change and new skies call your name, who are you going to be? Will you stay where it's safe, or will you go beyond and make history?